guys, it's Kathy. I hope you're doing well. We made it to Friday. This is your last day of work for a bunch of you people. Hi, Sue. So we're continuing with the Kimberly Hurd stuff because it's not like a trial yet. Right now, it's just stuff. We finished yesterday in June, either February or June of 21. So today we're going to move to November of 21. So a couple months later, they come back. And the last time we saw her, she had an attorney. They both had an attorney. So it was pretty nice. I'm only coming in on the right speaker. But I don't understand. Am I only coming in on the right speaker for everybody? I I don't know what to say. Oh, is someone else doing this? Sorry, I try not to do that, but sometimes it happens. So no one else is saying anything about the sound, Maiko. I think maybe you have something clogged in your ear, like towel residue. Kathy, I hope you're doing well. Oh my. We made it to. Sorry. I moved my window, which unmuted everything apparently. You know, that happens. All right, let's get moving. I sound tiny. I'm not loud. That's a first. Let me look at one thing real quick. I'm scared to do this, but I'm going to bump my microphone up a bit. Oh gosh, is that too loud? Is that better? There's a lot of crackling from the left speaker. I don't understand. Hold on. I'm gonna mess everything up here. Um, One moment. Okay. How does this sound? Am I even back? Perfect. Don't move it. I don't move it. I don't touch it. One moment. Still crackling. One moment. Okay, I'm unmuted. Do you still hear crackling? Do you hear anything? Do you hear me? Can you hear me? No sound. Now, can you hear me? Is underwater. Of course, I still have them. I just had them a second ago. Well, the crackling's coming back. Can you hear me right now? Can you hear me? Is it crackling? My Lord, this has been a week for technology. I think it's time that I get a new headset. Wireless. Get the little. I bought earbuds. I spent a bunch of money on these earbuds. They're Google Pixel earbuds. They're not like. I didn't go to Temu to get earbuds. But for some reason they don't work. I can't use them. They won't work. I can use them with my phone, but I can't use them with my computer. I've tried everything, but no, it's not working. So I would like to get some earbuds. My dog is not happy right now. I don't know why. But that's all right. She'll get happy again. Okay. Where were we? We were starting with this. Oh, I have to reshare my screen. Yeah. Sophie didn't like it either. Let's see if you can hear the video, though.
Very good. Sorry about the delay, but we're on, Ms. Hurd is here. Very good, have a seat.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, we're going Patty versus Hurd, D622669.
So we saw the father or husband or whatever and his attorney, and he said Miss Hurd is here. I don't know if she is a lawyer yet. Let's see.
Sorry, very sorry about the delay so far this morning. May we have appearances, please?
Sure. Good morning, Your Honor. Shaka Chrome on behalf of the plaintiff who's also present, bar number 8116.
Okay, and Ms. Hurd is here. Now, your client's timeshare is Thursday 5:30 to Sunday 5:30. That's today. He's not going to need a pickup order if she produces Aslan by Thursday at 5:30 today, but if she doesn't, then I guess you can submit it. Why is it that you're not cooperating with him having his contact?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I'm actually preparing emergency motion myself. And it's just taken me a long time because I'm still raising her, but I have there's a lot of concerns he's abusive, and that's why I got my TCO.
Well, here's the problem, I don't have that emergency motion yet, and if I wait around and then someone finally files a motion to enforce his constitutional rights to the child, and then you say, oh, by the way, I don't agree, I was gonna get around to filing an
No,
emergency
I-
motion that he's
yeah,
abusive. If he's abusive enough, here's what I'm getting to, if he's abusive enough that his constitutional rights should be suspended, this court isn't the first step, this court is the third step, way down on the pecking chain. If number one, if he's that horrible that the sky's falling, it's a police matter, if the children are with him. Number two, if it's not something that needs to be addressed right now, but maybe within a few days, or it's more of a semi-emergency, it's a CPS matter. If it's something that you want this court to do something about, that he's so horrible that his rights should be suspended, it wouldn't be something, if it's that bad, generally speaking, it wouldn't be something that's brought to this court and is persuasive. If it's gonna be persuasive, you would have already involved, the authorities. We've been before this court on this. This has been extensively argued by your prior counsel, who withdrew because, from my understanding, you and them couldn't agree on the approach of the case. So, what is it he's done since the last hearing that,
Well,
that's,
he does-
Whoa. Did you hear what he said there? That's not right. Your last counsel withdrew because you and him couldn't agree. The last time we saw her, she had a female lawyer. So that must have been 2 lawyers ago.
doesn't
that's
have her.
horribly abusive.
He
Pardon?
he deflects all his parenting, he doesn't have her.
Because you won't turn her over.
No, since then,
He can't be neglecting his parenting if he's not receiving her, because
he was receiving her and he was neglecting her, he was leaving her.
when was he last receiving her?
He received her up until the day that he,
When was that day?
10/22.
Okay, so you haven't provided any contact since October?
That's when we had an altercation at the school.
Okay, and all of this was litigated to death months later with your highly skilled attorney, and they understood that this was gonna be the schedule, and they didn't have a problem with it and didn't object to it, and then they proceeded on, and then you either fired your attorney or they withdrew or whatever. So what is it since the last time, so I can't let you argue something that was argued by very skilled counsel on your behalf, or should have been, and that was not accepted as being sufficient to deny him his constitutional rights. You were confined with material that arose since the last hearing. Anything that you argued on June 24th or before then was not sufficient. So I'm not permitted, unless you forgot to tell something horrific to your attorney, or they forgot to tell me in court. The problem is you're confined with what he's done since June 24th, our last hearing. And he couldn't have done anything because you said he's had no contact since October.
Since June, that's what I'm talking. It's been,
Okay, so
June
June 24th.
Every weekend that he has her, he doesn't have her. He's giving her to his mom.
Okay.
He's handing her over to.
Okay, why is that okay, we can fix that, but why is that, for you to deny someone's right to a child, it can't be something like that where it would be better if he was around rather than a grandparent. I agree with that. But to actually, and you can deal with that, but you can't deny contact based on the fact you don't think there's optimum parenting. If it's a horribly neglectful or abusive situation, then number one, you have the right to deny contact very temporarily. If number two, you immediately spring into action with CPS, the police, emergency motions with this court, so that the other side's rights are impacted for the briefest amount of time possible. Instead, you've done nothing. So he leaves him. He uses his mother too much. Is that your best shot?
No, it's not. He's neglectful, and I have.
What did he neglect? What did he neglect?
I have all the evidence.
Let me ask you what you had. What is he doing?
His video and
What is he doing?
he's not.
How do you have video of someone being neglectful?
Because I can't.
He's in the house, you're not there. How do you have videos of him not doing something?
I have a video of my daughter sitting in the middle of the street in a parking lot.
Okay, when was that filmed? You don't know?
I have it right here.
What was the context? What happened?
It was after a softball game.
Okay, when was the softball game?
It was a,
Roughly. It's not a trick
Probably about
question, I'm
the
not
end
trying to
of-
trap you.
end of July.
Okay, end of July, what happened?
She was just sitting in the parking lot by herself.
What happened? No, she's not just sitting in the parking lot. What was the story? Who had her? What was going on?
He had her, it was after.
What was
softball
this?
game.
Tell me the story. You don't go to the conclusion of the story. She's sitting in a parking lot. How did this happen? What happened?
I don't understand.
What do you mean you don't understand? You can't just tell me my daughter was sitting in a parking lot, so deny the other side their constitutional rights. Tell me the story. A bunch of stuff happened before she's sitting in the parking lot. Tell me what
He's
happened.
playing softball, he's playing softball after, he plays softball.
And she was in his custody?
Yeah,
He took her to the game?
yes.
Okay, you gotta tell me all this. Don't make me ask. Tell me the story.
Okay, I thought I had this. Okay.
Tell me what happened.
He- The reason why I'm even,
Don't tell me the reason you're, tell me what happened. You're saying
plays
you're,
softball
you're,
Friday
so we have to zero in on this. You
okay,
can't,
he plays softball
hijack
Friday
this to a
nights.
general
When I asked who's
discussion.
watching her, he's
Okay.
vague, he says the guys, people, and don't worry about it. Well, I do worry about it, my daughter
Okay.
can't effectively communicate with me, I can't, I don't know how she feels or what's going on, and he won't
you asked
communicate with
him,
me.
you asked him who's watching her?
Yeah.
Who's
and
watching her when?
When he's playing softball.
Okay, and what did he say? Did he say I took her with me or I didn't? Or
Yeah, no, she went with him, and he says the guys watch her.
at the game?
Yeah,
On the bleachers or where?
I don't know.
Okay, so,
And then after the game.
yeah,
they
okay,
all
wait,
hang
so,
out for a-
okay, so he's allowed to take a 6-year-old to a softball game, okay, right?
Mhm.
So what did he do or not do?
Then afterwards, they all hang out and drink and
Okay,
fine, but she's sitting there just by herself.
where was he drinking? In a bar or right there
No, right
at
there, in the
bleachers with his
parking
friend?
lot.
Right there, okay. And she's sitting how far from him?
Maybe 10 feet. 15
So he
feet.
was sitting, he wasn't sitting on the bleachers drinking, he was sitting with his butt in the middle of a busy parking lot with her drinking.
It was in the parking lot.
He was standing up drinking in the parking lot?
Mm-hmm.
In the parking lot, not near the bleachers or the ball
In
field,
the parking lot.
okay? And where was she?
Sitting in the middle, in the street, in the middle of the street.
In the street,
In the
not in the
parking lot.
parking lot, but in the
parking lot.
highway, in the street.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not, I'm working too hard on this, so I'll turn to the other side to tell me what's going on. I shouldn't have to work this hard. Ms. Crum, what's going on? Tell me about
All right,
the
thanks.
softball game or whatever else that led to, the dispute that led to this denial. If it's something beyond the softball game she told him about, that she's upset about, whether it's him relying too much on his mother or the softball game, what else was it he was told? And what do you know about anything else she told, plus the softball game incident and him relying on his mother too much, which is what she seems to be telling me?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. This is the first I'm hearing about the July incident. She continued to allow him to have custody after this alleged July incident. This is the first time I'm hearing it. I do
Okay,
know
one
that
second,
when my
please.
client,
1 second, please. If you allowed him contact after this July and softball incident, then by definition, this incident is zero justification for you denying him his rights. You're acknowledging you're a good mother, so if you were a good mother and you did something horrible, you would have denied him his rights then, right then and there. Proceed, please. Proceed, Ms. Crum. Proceed, please.
Muted.
Unmute.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The mother has placed tracking devices on both Mario and his girlfriend's vehicles
I
and placed a
figured something
recorder
like
in the police are involved regarding that. Mario has missed September 16th visitation. He advised that he did not need the right of first refusal for September 24th, yet she still didn't comply. He went to the school because since he didn't need the right of first refusal, and mom was there with her friend who was recording and being very rude and sending rude text messages. And mom went to the principal and told the principal that dad needed supervised visitation or supervision at the school. And the principal spoke with both of them and told dad that without a court order, he would only release the child to the parents. After school, he showed up to get the child, and mom got there first and immediately went up to the teacher, picked up the child and left. I advised him to go to the police department where they conduct their exchange if mom hasn't shown. So she didn't show in September. The October 22nd at their school, which was Dad's day, mom took her to the fall festival, and then she pretended to go to the bathroom with the daughter and had her friend pick them up so that her car would still be in the parking lot, and snuck out. Dad contacted the police. Mom said that there was some domestic violence and showed a video. I attached the police report. The officer said there was no violence, but issued them both blue cards. The very next day, mom applied for a TPO for herself and for the child. The TPO for the child was denied, and we filed a motion to dissolve because mom didn't indicate that the police officer didn't see any bruises or scratches and didn't see anything. And since then, she will not allow him, all throughout, he has denied FaceTime with this child. And then at one point said he could have between 30 seconds and 2 minutes to speak with a child. But now she is saying that she's advised with a professional person involved with the child, even though her temporary protective order says she's supposed to abide by this court's rules. She says that she will only allow him to speak to the child through talking parrots so that she can transcribe it and record the conversations. So she's effectively denied his rights since September, not since October. That's what we're asking for, temporary primary custody, because Dad will abide by the rules. Also, we think mom, she has a history of doing meth in the past. We're asking for her to be sent to ATI today for hair and urine. My dad will prepay for that.
He didn't, I don't think he mentioned anything about this at previous hearings, did he?
He did not, because she, when they were living together right before the previous hearing, she wasn't doing drugs.
We'll send her if there's evidence of drug use, but there's evidence of obstruction of his rights that may indicate that there's issues. It may not indicate drug issues per se. Did he see her recently and noted signs of meth usage, or?
He's concerned about the substantial weight loss in such a short period of time. That's happened before when she was previously on meth, and so he's concerned. Also, mom has scheduled
her lawyer withdrew because they couldn't agree. So she's pro se now. She is her lawyer.
A whole bunch of activities during Dad's time. She tells him that he can't go because only one parent can be there, and tells him that it's not in the child's best interest and that he's being selfish to request his time. So I think if we had clear orders where Dad had primary, he will ensure that mom has her time. But my concern is that she's doing all these things while the court is involved. So what happens when the court is no longer involved? She'll continue to alienate and withhold. I would ask for specific orders regarding Thanksgiving and Christmas. And also to remove the right of first refusal language, because I think that spawned her putting tracking devices on the vehicle so that she could see where they are, when they're going somewhere. Yet when she goes to the gym or when she donates plasma, she leaves the child with other people as well. I would like to be able to resubmit the order without mom's signature, and I'll add the citations. I think mom's playing games. She told the police officers and the school that there are no court orders, that he does not have any rights to visitation, and they're all just really confused.
Okay. Now, Mom, I want you to know a few things. I have a few questions for you, then I'm gonna let you make a statement, because it wasn't working with Q&A when I was asking you for specific information, but I want you to know anything that you say to the police, if it's false or misleading about the non-existence of orders or non-existence of Dad's rights, you are not going to succeed. Those type of transparent falsities will be immediately determined. You won't get anywhere with that, if in fact it's happening. I want to ask you a couple questions. You're on SSI, and you also supplement your income somewhat by plasma donation. What's the nature of your disability that you're receiving benefits for?
It's my daughter. She receives SSI.
Oh, she's okay.
So I used to do plasma. I have not been able to because my daughter has 10 providers. I manage all of her medical, everything, and I have for the last 4 years.
Are you unable to obtain employment?
I don't even have time between taking care of her and now doing
Might have a
this.
lot more time if you let the other side have her the couple, 3 days a week like you're supposed
And
to.
I was, Your Honor,
Okay,
maybe I can't work fast enough, and I finally had gotten every this week, and.
doesn't matter what you give me, it matters what if you're not able to tell me what these things
My
are,
concern is my
it doesn't matter
daughter's
what you
behavior
give me.
started changing. Her potty training has regressed. She didn't want to talk to him.
Have you spoken to Dad about any of this, or do you assume
Yes.
every little problem, you said you have a special
Yes.
needs child
Maybe.
and that who has a disability. So you understand, of course, if you have a special needs child or a child with a disability, parenting even a child who doesn't have those challenges when both parents live together and are pulling in the same direction is extremely difficult. It's 10 times as difficult or more if you have a child with any sort of special needs or disability, and 100 times more difficult if you're dealing with a special child but in different homes and you guys pulling in different directions. So every time there is going to be a lot of problems because of the circumstances surrounding your daughter. Why do you assume that every time something happens, that rather than reaching out, sending him an email, talking it out with him, that you should just automatically assume that that's caused by something horrible he did and that you should deny contact?
I don't.
Why do you just assume that, do you talk to him about this, or do you just deny contact? Can you point to one email or text or phone call where you said, hey, the potty training's regression? I'm not asking you to find it now, I'm asking you, did you tell him that?
Yes, I have sent him messages.
Did you
I've sent
say,
him
this
messages.
is regressing? Did you say, here's what we need to do?
Yeah, and I've told him that I was getting
Okay.
her behavior therapy. It took me a long time because they don't have behavioral therapists for children who are speech delayed.
Okay.
It's really hard. So when I did get her in there, he said, when he was getting the messages, he's like, what's this about? I'm like, remember when I told you her behavior's changing, you've noticed it, I told you about her potty training, this is that behavior, and we finally got her in. And he's like, well, I'm gonna be there because I don't want you lying about me and Carrie. He hasn't been to a provider in 4 years. And the only time he's ever
Okay.
called her
So,
provider.
okay, let's assume he needs to do better about the medical care, which is a little difficult when you're living in different homes and you guys are in
That's-
conflict.
and that-
Why is it that I should tell him, you were so horrible that your constitutional rights to your daughter should be suspended, you should have no contact with your daughter? What's he currently doing that's so horrible that would enable the court to do something seemingly that absurd? What is it that you feel that you think I should sit
I
here
feel
and
like
say
I'm-
he gets no rights because you tell me you don't feel like him having rights?
No, I want him to have.
Okay,
That's the
are
thing,
you
I want
placing,
him to
are
see
you
her
placing
in-
tracking devices on his car and stalking him and his girlfriend?
I was not stalking him and his girlfriend. I'm genuinely concerned about my daughter.
If you
because
placed
of
a
her
tracking
behavior.
device, you are stalking people, in my view, and it's very troublesome. Why do you put a tracking device on his car?
Because my daughter her behavior was changing.
Why
so
would
much.
you
She
need to
was
put a
getting-
tracking device on his car? Why do you care where he goes if you've denied contact with him the last few months and he's not taking your daughter anywhere
Because
because
he
you
wasn't
made sure of
with her.
that?
Like, he would leave her. He'd
He's
be at
not,
the
wasn't
bar.
leaving her anywhere right now because you
No.
haven't allowed contact in months. So what do you have a tracking device on his car for? He can't be taking her anywhere because you won't let him have her.
I didn't have one then.
So when did you put it on?
Um,
And of course, you didn't tell him about it, or it defeats the whole purpose.
And I've
When
been
did you,
asking
when did you have the
where she
tracking
at?
device
When-
placed?
when I
When
asked
did you
him-
have the tracking device placed?
I'm sorry?
When did you have it placed on his car?
I don't think it was until it was like the.
So I
right
just
before
found
we
a
got-
time-consuming task that took some time to arrange and plan, that you either could have been spent looking for a job or tending to your daughter's needs. You wasted time on an issue, not what you may try and say you were trying to protect her. You're just very angry. You want to control where he goes and what he does, and you're upset that he has a girlfriend.
No, I've tried to reach out to her. I've tried
Oh, yeah,
to
okay,
get along
fine.
with her. I've
Okay,
invited her
why'd
to
you,
the doctor.
when did you place the tracking device on his car? Is your answer you don't know?
It's end of August.
When was it discovered to your knowledge?
It literally was like 2 days.
Within 2 days?
Mhm.
Okay, it indicates, don't play secret agent if you don't have the skill, if it was detected within 2 days. Okay, what were you trying to ascertain?
I just want,
You just want
Aslan
what?
wants a relationship with her dad. She loves him.
No, you
She
didn't
wants
place
that
a tracking,
relationship.
you didn't place a tracking
He's-
device on a car, which is an outrageous circumstance, because you just want her to have a loving relationship with her father. Tell me why he's such a horrible criminal, and why the authorities couldn't
Doesn't-
determine this, and that you needed to gather your own evidence. What is it he did that's so shockingly horrific that the police are ignoring, despite your repeated entreaties, that you're forced to investigate matters on your own in that fashion? What is it he's done? Why did you put the tracking device on his car?
He's neglecting her, and
You put a tracking, you don't
he's not.
You don't put a tracking device on someone's car to prove that someone didn't change a diaper or heat up a meal. It has nothing to do with neglect. You put a tracking device, arguably, you find someone doing something horrible or criminal, and you want to find out where they're going. Why did you put a tracking device? To find out if he was going to see some girlfriend or something? or
No,
what?
I want him to be home with her. and
Okay,
he's
so I'll
not.
try this a fourth time. You put a tracking
not.
device because you want him to be a good parent and be home with her? Or why did you put
And
the
if he's not
tracking
gonna
device?
be with her, then this is what I've offered.
Why did you put the tracking device on his car this last time? Otherwise, I have to assume that you...
Okay, I have to apologize to everybody right here, right now. First off, when you guys said we wanted to watch the whole thing, I was like, no, 13 days, no, we can't. This is going to be boring. This is amazing. This is awesome. Beck, throw the goat. Thank you. You are amazing.
You've had 6 times to answer. It was in plain English. You told me you understood my question. If you don't understand my question, then you need to tell me. Otherwise, I expect an answer which makes some sort of rational, logical sense. What were you hoping to catch him doing?
It wasn't him. I was hoping to find, if he wasn't with Aslan and having her and watching her, then I have to be able to prove that he's not with her. I can't just say it.
How do you, if you know where she is at a time and you know he's not there, you don't have to have a tracking device on his car to prove he's not there. A tracking device isn't going to tell you who he's neglecting or whether she's with him or not. If you happen to know where she is, that's all you need to know. She was in an inappropriate place or left with an inappropriate person because he wasn't around. You don't have to know what he was doing. All you would show is he's not around. So what is it you were hoping to accomplish?
That was it. I don't need to know what he's doing. You're right. I don't need to know what he's doing.
Okay, well then, if you don't need to know what he's doing, then don't place a tracking device on his car which is designed for the purpose of determining precisely what he's doing and where he's going. Do you think that's rational?
I honestly,
I think your attorney,
Isn't it illegal? Shouldn't the judge be saying something about how legal or not legal this is? Or is that just because the prosecutor has to prosecute? The judge can't do that? I don't know.
who was quite a fighter, withdrew, and I don't think there was a secret, because they were having trouble connecting with you on the approach of the case.
I don't
Translation, forgive me, I don't think you're acting rationally. I don't think you're being rational or acting rationally. I think this goes well beyond you just violating his rights. And that's probably some good news for you, that I'm not sure you're in total control of your actions. That's probably something you don't want to argue with me about, because it's probably a favorable finding to you. But at this point, the court's, I think the approach should be, I'm not changing the custodial order if you comply and you turn her over to him by 5:30. Then the custodial order for now remains until we have a status check date in January, February, if you're gonna cooperate. But if you don't cooperate and he doesn't receive her back by 5:30, Ms. Crum can submit a pickup order, and that'll vest him with emergency custody till we get back to court. But that doesn't mean he's gonna be permitted to do what you do, even though he'd be in a much stronger position to do that, because he'd do that under the auspices or authority of a court order by keeping her from you, which is something you didn't have. But I wouldn't tolerate him doing to your rights what you're doing to his, even if he had the benefit of a court order, which he will, which you didn't. He's required to, within 24 hours of picking her up, to contact Ms. Crum to suggest an immediate pendency hearing before this court, so we can determine how custody is gonna be shared until further order. So if you want to continue on this 5-2 split that favors you, you get her to him by tonight, because your justifications
Bonjour.
for doing what you did
Lena.
are really lame. You're either really upset about the split up, and or you're just trying to control every aspect of his life in a totally irrational and reasonable manner. You don't understand the fact that just because you have a right to be really concerned about your daughter, particularly if your daughter has special needs, you don't have a right to control every aspect of the other person's life or their parenting. He just has to reach a very minimal level of parenting. He doesn't have to meet your definition of ideal parenting, or even my personal view of what it takes to be a passable parent. He just has to meet what the minimum standards set by the law. And nothing that I've heard would indicate he hasn't met the minimal standard, or that his constitutional rights deserve to be violated. I think what's happening is, there's been some issues with him as well, but I think you're totally out of control and you're not acting rationally, and your life has become a mission to keep him from his child and find some excuse. And you
She has gone so far over the edge that we forgot he does bad stuff too.
rationalize it to yourself by saying, I just want him to be a better parent. Well, newsflash, he's never going to fit your definition of a parent or rise to the level that you expect him to. It's never going to happen. You're not going to make another person over like that. You couldn't do that even when you were together, and I assume you guys were together a while. You're certainly not going to be able to do it now that you guys are separate, heading in separate directions in life. So he has to meet a minimal legal standard of passable parenting. He doesn't have to meet your hyper-technical demands of how he should or shouldn't behave on each and every situation. He doesn't have to meet that. And even if he did, I don't think you've even communicated that to him. You've just taken aggressive action. So the right of first refusal, yes, that does need to be eliminated. We're going to have a status in February, and if nothing happens before February, then I expect mom to come to court, hopefully with an attorney. Then we'll see where we are, whether we need to go to trial or whatever. I assume the February date may need to be vacated by a more immediate date, such as if Dad succeeds, if you don't cooperate and Dad submits the pickup order, and then Miss Cronin calls Chambers and says, we have the child, we need an immediate date. That's to protect your rights, because I'm not gonna let him, even with the benefit of the court order, do for more than 2 days to you what you did to him for months. I'm not gonna tolerate him saying, well, I got a pickup order and I got temporary custody. That only goes so far as to within 1 day he contacts the court and I tell everyone to be here within the next day or two, and we get hold of you and tell you, because I'm not gonna permit, even with the benefit of a court order, for him to do, even for 2 days, what you did to him for months and months and months with zero justification. So those will be the orders. Mrs. Crum can resubmit the order from the last hearing without Mom's signature. If she wants to enter the time entries, we'll go from there. We're gonna go ahead and let's get us February date, and I assume that if things go according to plan, that'll be vacated and we'll be in court a lot sooner. But for now, let's get the February status.
February 14th.
Your Honor, let me ask
Let's
a
not
few
make
more
it
things
that
when you're
day, we'll
done.
vote on the 15th. Go ahead.
February 17th at 11 a.m.
February 17th at 11. And if he's got the pickup order, we just have the February 17th to prevent it from slipping through the cracks. But we're not going to be waiting that long, because chances are you either cooperate, and that's great, and then we float along with this current schedule until February, and we get some Christmas and Thanksgiving time put in the record now. But I'm not foolish enough to think there'll be 100% compliance all the way till February. So if there isn't, then we have to deal with an emergency setting, or more to the point, if he's successful in in the pickup order, then they'll contact Chambers and we'll set an immediate date. But if you produce her tonight at 5:30, then we're going to continue along. I said 2-day schedule. It's really a 3-day schedule, Tim. So it's 4 to you and 3 to him. That's going to continue on if there's compliance. Where are you supposed to meet for the exchange?
It's at the Henderson Police Department.
Okay. Are you going to be at the Henderson Police Department, young lady, tonight at 5:30, or are you
Yes,
going to
sir.
complicate your life 10,000-fold? What are you going to do?
I'll be there.
Okay. Ms. Crum, if
Your Honor,
he
just
calls
a-
you in the morning and you don't have, and he doesn't have Aslan, then we'll go from there.
Your Honor? Yes.
Your Honor, just a couple more things.
Okay.
She had also placed a recording device in the diaper bag. I'd asked for a specific order that she stop doing that.
You don't, Mom, you don't, yes, so what? Mom, you don't see anything wrong with all this?
I thought it was protecting her.
It's not protecting her.
And then,
Have you contacted the police or CPS?
When, I haven't initiated it.
I'm
When
not
he-
suggesting it, in fact, I don't think you should, but if you didn't even contact them and you're resorting to, if the police or the CPS agencies don't see anything that's really compelling, you're trying to create your own case. What do you think he's gonna do on how's a recording device gonna establish he's neglectful? What, you gonna walk around the house announcing, gee, I didn't feed her for lunch, I wonder how long I can get away with not feeding her? I mean, what do you hope to accomplish? He's gonna be announcing, it's not a
No.
video, it's a recording device, he's gonna be announcing conclusions about his neglect? Or is it you trying to hear what he's doing with some girl, or what?
No.
Oh, no, of course not, yeah, of course not. You'd never do that. So what is it you're hoping to glean? What is he gonna say on this tape that's he's gonna walk around announcing, I'm an abusive, neglectful parent?
No.
What do you hope to have him say?
I wasn't hoping to have him say anything.
Oh, so you
when I
wanted him
was-
recorded because you're hoping you don't, you
I was just
don't
trying to find
capture, that you don't capture any audio,
I've asked him.
that you don't want any audio recordings, and that's why you put a tape in the
Asked him
diaper bag.
about her, like, what is she doing, like, what are you guys up to? And-
So why don't you ask him?
I did, and he wouldn't tell me, and then he's more
So,
secretive, and he won't
so this
respond.
recording
And
is gonna tell you what he's up to. He's gonna say, let's go to the park now, or what?
So he wasn't there with her. He-
So the recording's you're gonna get a recording that's silent, and that's gonna establish he's not there with her? It's just gonna establish the room where you have the recorder, that there's no one within 10 feet of the diaper bag speaking loudly, is all you're gonna accomplish. I don't understand. But of course, yes, that's
Your Honor.
so ordered. What are we gonna do about Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Yes.
well, I would like for him to have Christmas Day, since there's been so much time that's lapsed. If she wants Thanksgiving Day, I would like for him to have the day, well, I would like for him to honestly to have both. He's missed so much time that I would like for him to have both.
Okay.
And she
you
can have
heard their
Christmas
request
Eve.
about Thanksgiving, what would you like to tell us?
He can have both.
All right, just make sure you put in the order the specific dates and the times that he's to pick up and exchange
Okay.
back.
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
And then, Your Honor, your ruling for ATI, please, if we'd like a
You know,
referral.
I don't, I don't believe she's.
The reason why is
but
because
I
there's
don't
been
believe
a,
she's on meth, I believe her, that would be too easy, that would explain that we have a drug dependency issue that may explain some of this. I think the problems here are unfortunately are more deep-rooted, but they're interested in, they're mentioning some dramatic weight loss, I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm trying, I haven't lost any weight, I don't.
Your Honor, he understands that if he requests this now and it comes back fine, then we're happy, that's great. But he'll pay
He's
for
willing-
it.
And he's willing to get the payment down there?
He will.
They want us, and if we send that, we'll have the same return date, but if the results are positive, just like with the pickup order thing, if he can if he has to resort to a pickup order, that's gonna cause an acceleration of the court date. Same thing with the drugs. If we get something that's really
Right.
disturbing, that could accelerate the date as well, but for now, we'll keep the February 17th date. They want you tested.
next-
Are you on any prescription or psychotropic drugs or anything at this time?
Prescriptions, I take Adderall, and I take ibuprofen, and I take my,
An over-the-counter ibuprofen or
It's
the one with the
ibuprofen,
narcotic in it,
it's
the
prescribed.
over-the-counter one? Okay.
ibuprofen.
I mean, the one with the
And then-
narcotic, the prescription ibuprofen or just the
No,
one
no, I'm
with
just,
the,
I
okay.
was telling you all my prescriptions.
Okay,
And then I have some for anxiety, they're antihistamines, I have them listed.
Have you dealt with a mental health care professional over the last 10 years?
Yes, I was in therapy, and then I haven't.
Are you in therapy now?
I'm actually scheduled for Monday.
Because I'll tell you right now, if you were to tell them the total unvarnished truth about all this, it's not going to be a surprise when they don't do these things. Don't spy on people. Don't track their device. Don't record. You know, it's not.
I
Of
haven't.
course, if you present to them an alternate universe, then they may
I'm
tell you
not.
something different. Okay. Now,
Your Honor,
she said you're commencing therapy, and that's good. Is that covered? And that's not out of pocket, of course.
Yes, it is.
All right. So, how much do you
The other
receive from your
things-
daughter's disability?
$794.
And you donate your plasma?
I haven't had time to do that.
You
so-
can't maintain that for too long and remain healthy.
Can I say one thing?
Uh-huh.
Just in regards to this, one of my issues or concerns, I guess, is with Mario making a substantial amount of money, if it's placed joint, the time, that's what I'm upset about, the word joint and the.
He's still gonna have to pay support even if
No,
it's
I'm
joint
not
because of
worried
the
about that.
difference in
It's her
income.
That's not it, Your
She
Honor.
has medical benefits, she has
Okay.
10 providers through, that's the big thing. And we pay nothing, we pay no co-pays, we pay nothing for therapy. I mean, she goes to therapy 3 times a week, like, and I know we're gonna have to transition to, her not being on that, but right
Yeah.
now, I'm not in a position to, and I've asked Mario to look at his insurance, but right now,
All
as
right.
of right today, I would like to preserve that.
You heard that, she wants she wants him to evaluate his insurance for the coverage. You heard what she said, can he do so?
he could do so. What she's really saying is she wants
know.
primary
I
designation.
know.
I-
But
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
saying on the surface, though, that regardless of the timeshare, that she wants that insurance situation to be inquired into, so he can go ahead and inquire and try and resolve that.
Sure.
Okay, I don't
Your Honor, the
think, I
only-
don't think illicit drug usage is the problem here. I wish it was that simple, but they want you drug tested. Is there anything and these tests track back several months at least. So that's how sophisticated they are these days. What is it that's gonna show up?
My.
You tell me now, that way I don't have to get upset about it. I'm not upset if you tell me the truth.
My, the Adderall's and.
Okay? So you make sure you declare those when you report for the test. What else, anything illegal show? I really only care if you lie to me. If you tell me something's gonna show and it does, but then we see the baselines decrease, it's not gonna impact your custodial rights, but the lie becomes the issue though. Because then I have to assume you're not gonna tell me the truth about anything.
Right.
So if there's anything you used without a prescription over the last 6 months, you need to tell me, and you need to tell me now.
Yes,
Pardon?
yes,
What would you use?
methamphetamine.
Okay, because that's what he is, that's what they seem to be focusing on. Now, when was the last usage?
Shoot,
Remember, they're gonna find out.
I know.
Me too. Yes, please.
Because there are. Was it 2 months ago?
When's the last time anybody had a neck massage? Man, it's been many years.
6 weeks to 2 months ago,
Pardon?
6 weeks to 2 months ago.
All right, Ms. Chrome, I appreciate your honesty, young lady. I'm gonna dispense with the test and just make a finding that it would be positive for meth. But when we come back well, maybe it's useful because of the baseline issue to see where we're at and to see what a subsequent test might show. So,
Right, Your Honor, I just have some
but he may
concerns.
he
if
may
we-
not want to spend $140 if we already know it's gonna be positive. But if you're really concerned about the levels, that's fine, we can send her. She told me.
Well,
the
I'm
truth, but
concerned
she'll-
about the
she'll make sure she
custodial
tells me.
arrangement.
Pardon?
I'm concerned about the custodial arrangement. Only mom keeps saying she's nonverbal, and if mom's a meth user, then why are we keeping this child in the same custodial
Well, then
arrangement
let's
if mom
find
needs
out-
to get
Then
some?
let's find out what we're dealing with, and maybe the readings or the levels would be informative. So we'll go ahead with the test, and we'll go from there. And we'll need to process this young lady. Do they still get hands? No, I don't get hand stamped anymore, but you go ahead and send the young lady in the right direction. Very good. Ms. Crum, is there anything else for today's purpose, or?
Just to remind Mom that we have a settlement conference that I want to keep in place. This court ordered that we needed to meet. And then also I would ask to submit a memo of fees and cost only because Mom's actions that she's admitted. And if this court, I just want to reserve our right for fees. I know she's not working.
The hard reality of it, though, unless things change dramatically, you're probably dealing with a judgment-proof individual, but I'm getting ahead of myself. When is that conference set for?
She's supposed to come to my office tomorrow.
Okay, and you're planning to come to her office tomorrow?
Well,
I kind of assumed it might.
I would ask for it to be moved, Your Honor, until after we get the test.
Okay, well, we already know what the test is gonna show, we just don't know the levels. You may as well proceed with it. Just to say
Okay.
when you proceed with this, that you're gonna get a positive test to some degree. Are you comfortable going?
Okay.
Because I don't have a problem with your demeanor, I have a problem with you, the responses you give and the justifications you give to violate his rights, but you haven't been, you haven't been loud or disrespectful or combative, so I assume I just don't like your justifications for violating court orders and someone's critical rights. But that said, since behavior doesn't seem to be a problem, if Ms. Crum doesn't have a problem with you appearing in her office, I don't have a problem. Is she welcome to come and discuss this with you?
She is. We'll be in the conference room. A member of my staff will be
Okay.
present as well.
Yeah, I don't think this young woman's combative. I'm just upset about and I've let that be clear to her, that her justifications for violating someone's rights and all this nonsense about tracking devices and recordings, and you understand how I feel about this. And maybe, just maybe, some of this, what I quite find to be delusional or paranoid behavior, maybe it is tied in to some degree with meth usage. So if you are using meth or did in the last few months, the sooner that you put that out of your life forever, the better. And then the medications that you're prescribed, because those are not, those can be pretty serious too, some of them. Adderall and some others if misused. Are you careful to remain within the dosage and interval amounts, like?
Yeah.
All right, because if you don't, make sure you declare all your prescriptions, tell them exactly, and tell them you were in court and you conceded to meth usage, let's say within about the last 6 weeks, maybe sooner, and tell them that, just be an open book, and we'll go from there, okay? And I do appreciate your honesty on that issue. And be honest with the court and with the other side, and it's gonna go a long way. And don't do anything like following people, electronic surveillance, any of that, and you should be all right. And first and foremost, get your daughter over there by 5:30 tonight, okay? Because they're gonna and if he doesn't get his daughter by 5:30 tonight, he'll tell you can go ahead and cancel the conference, because there's no reason to have the conference if he's not gonna get his daughter, right?
So
Then you'll be in the pickup order mode. They're not gonna wanna talk to you or negotiate anything to you if you remain in violation. And you promised me you're gonna produce her.
I will.
Okay. Don't be
I
late.
didn't maybe I'm just more controlling than I realized.
Pardon? Well, if you recognize that,
worried,
that's a
I
good
guess,
start. But you can't, if something seems hyper-controlling to a disturbing level to outsiders, you're not gonna be able to justify that to anyone rational by just saying, oh, I'm just trying to protect my daughter. You should see the things people try and justify and think people will accept if you just say, oh, I'm just protecting my family member. Just stating that sort of conclusion is not gonna convince anyone who's rational that irrational actions should be tolerated, so keep that in mind. All right, thank you very much.
Your Honor, just one more thing, I'm really sorry, just if she could stop having her friend Dixie at exchanges and texting my client. She texts nasty messages, she videos at these exchanges, she goes to the kids' school, she's very disruptive.
You've recruited
I just need her to
someone,
calm
you
down.
appear to have some support in your mission, and I don't think this Dixie doesn't sound like a true friend if they're buying into all your drama and encouraging it rather than helping you take a step back and
Jen, thank
see
you
things
so
rationally.
much.
If you have
Thank
to bring
you.
some, either come alone and don't come with Dixie. Okay.
I've never brought Dixie to the exchange. This is
All
one
right,
time.
if you haven't, they're saying that
Or at the
Dixie's,
school or anything.
they're saying then you'll have no trouble complying, no Dixie, okay? Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Back to that.
Thank you. All right, thank
Okay.
We are,
Don't come with Dixie, no whistling Dixie. You leave Dixie alone. Okay, so what we just did was. I wish it wouldn't have flipped over. This is. April. We just did this one. No, we did November. So, of 21. So, I think there's a February of 22, if I'm not mistaken. So just let me look real quick. December of 22, 23, 23, 23. So we have, yeah, there's February of 22. So this one should be the, nope, we need to go, yes, this is the next one. I got there in the end, guys. I did.
Ms. Hurd is here with us.
Wrong button.
Okay, who do we have on the screen? Is Mario there? Is Mrs. Crum there?
you. Yes, we're both here.
Okay. You know, here's and the young lady is here, Mom is here, welcome. And first, I'm very, very sorry about the delay. As the parties in court here can tell, there were a couple kind of involved, difficult matters.
Your Honor, I don't know if you can hear Regina. She's on as well.
Oh,
Unbundled.
Hi. I'm appearing unbundled for Ms. Hurd today.
okay, perfect.
Sorry.
Now, it
Thank
is, you know, it
Okay, so now she has a lawyer, right?
is true that the court indicated that with these results, that that what I'm really concerned about is someone's honesty and whether they're going to concede beforehand that the results could be positive. But that presumes, though, that we're going to have a dramatically decreased baseline by the next time we test. And candidly, I'm kind of surprised at these staggering high levels.
2 or
in the
3, I don't
positive for methamphetamine at 53,587 milligrams, amphetamine at almost 20,000, 19,564, barbiturates at 85. And for methamphetamine, high in the hair is over 10,000. So if we're at 53,587, we're about 5.5 times beyond that. So I think, and Ms. McConnell, you're representing Mom?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so I think we kind of need to turn to you and say, 'cause the results kind of look alarming. She was honest to an extent about certain usage, but I don't think anyone was expecting this, or that she has prepared these level of
Dad was.
readings. How do you think the court should deal with this information?
Well, I know my client has requested several times to get back to ATI. She actually went down there in January, and
Okay.
they
Maria, thank you so much. Poor Linus does need some hot chocolate with marshmallows, doesn't she?
said that they require court orders. So we would request that she go again today. But it's also my understanding that, she does have prescription medications, which she did mention in court, because I did watch the video.
Okay.
The barbiturates, however you say that.
Everyone has trouble with that.
Yeah. And then the amphetamines, Adderall, so that would need to be taken into account with regards to the outcome of any test results. She did produce, I know there's some exhibits attached. She did produce the Quest drug toxicology lab results. And I understand Ms. Crumb's statement that that's not, it even states on there it's for medical use only. I don't know if that's just kind of Quest's way of saying, hey, we're not a drug testing facility, but it did show, none detected for, there are lots of marijuana, cocaine metabolite, alcohol metabolites, amphetamines, benzod, a lot of oxycodone, opiates. It all showed negative. So if the court does not want to accept this, I know my client is willing to go down to ATI.
Maybe that's what we need to do before we do anything substantive beyond that. Ms. Crum?
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, her subsequent test was urine only and didn't test for meth. Second, the court based its order on her high levels and her dishonesty. Frankly, she told you she hadn't used in 6 weeks to 2 months, and she.
Thank you, Fletcher. Thank you so much. All right. Linus, did you do it twice? Hold on, I have to go to another tab. Charlotte, Charlotte, Charlotte. Congratulations, abundant love.
Was 5.5 times the level. And so we would like to just keep it in place. And I think if she's showing a negative test for a drug that's so addictive, that's alarming as well. There's so many people who have problems getting off meth. So we'd like for her to use options at her own cost or have some random for 6 months, just so that we make sure that this child's safe. Because of the nature of meth, this isn't like marijuana where she's just going to chill out. Like, meth is really dangerous, especially with a special needs child. So we'd like 6 months options at her cost. This court previously added some comments about some mental health concerns with mom. There's just been some weird things that have happened while my clients tried to facilitate supervised visitation to make sure she still has a relationship. I'm honestly worried about him now and his well-being. I think if she could get him arrested, she would. I don't know if you want me to go into this now, but I really need a facility like Family First where mom pays to have visitation there while we do drug testing for 6 months at her cost, and she paid for Family First. She has tried to walk away with the child. The police had to be called. She told the police false statements. She said dad raped 10 women and that he's committed domestic violence against her and that he's very abusive. You addressed the previous recordings that mom illegally obtained. She tried to give those to the therapist. She told the therapist that he's a rapist. And she told the police officer that she's advised to keep the child away from dad. And this is all while we have sole legal, sole physical custody. I'm scared one day someone's going to believe her. But she's trying to taint everyone against him. She refused to provide medication, which she attached in her exhibit. She refused to provide the insoles in the child's shoes. All of this to the detriment of the child. And so I think even if her meth levels are low, there's still some mental health concerns with mom. Especially if she's grabbing the child, she won't let go, and she walks away to where he has to call the police. So I've got to have a neutral place where he can walk the child in. She's not going in his car at all, and he can go in and get the child. And that she does random options. She stops telling providers that he's a rapist, which isn't true.
Thank you, Linus. Nice try.
So that maybe the transitions just can be easier if there's a third party. And so the cops, he sent the police to her house to get the child's inserts, medical inserts. She wouldn't give them to the police officer either. And so and she says in Talking Parents, which she submitted to this court, that basically her full-time job is being a mom. She still doesn't have a job, even though this court told her instead of putting devices on vehicles and recording devices in diaper bags that she could have gotten a job. She still doesn't have a job. It's very frustrating for my client, and frankly, he's nervous.
All right.
Your Honor,
Yeah, Ms.
I believe
Crum, we're looking towards some sort of, I'm sorry, Ms. McConnell, we're looking at some sort of temporary supervised with an agency and random tests so we can see if the baselines are decreasing. And that's kind of what we're looking at. I don't know if you wanted your client to...
Can I speak?
She seems to want to speak, but I don't know if that's okay with you.
that's fine with me. I apologize, I wasn't there because I was.
Okay, your attorney says it's okay, but if your attorney interjects and indicates there's something you're discussing that she doesn't want to discuss, then please.
As far as the levels from 3 months ago, none of us are authorized to make, especially an attorney, to interpret those. I would ask that I've tried to go down there. I physically went down to ATI. I've gone to my neurologist. I've been forthcoming with my therapist, with my neurologist, my primary doctor, Aslan's therapist, and my parents. I am absolutely clean. I have tried to get tested, and that's all I can do is through my neurologist. I have been forthcoming. As to those results, I've never seen them. I still to this day have not seen those results. I would like a medical professional to interpret them, not an attorney. My daughter has been in my sole custody her whole life, and now the 1 month that he has had her, she is not going to family therapies. You can see in the report the last time that she was there was January 6th. He's not taking her to her extracurricular activities. Her behavior is degressing. Her teachers have noted that in the reports I've also
What
sent you.
activities is he not taking her to?
He's not taking her to dance, to tap, to her combo sports, none of them. And he says because with everything going on. My daughter's behavior has significantly degressed. Her teachers have noted this. This was in a video conference 2 weeks ago. You have the paperwork there. She is now acting out and hiding from them, running away from them. She's telling them no. My daughter's behavior, it did not ever digress in my care, Your Honor. And yes, I've admitted to what I've done, and I've asked on November 19th, I told Shaka, I understand the concerns that she has. I will submit to as many drug tests whenever they want, as randomly as they want.
But do you feel you have an issue? I understand
I
what
do
you're
not have
saying
an issue,
about
Your Honor.
that, if you want a technician to interpret this, and
No,
I think
I
it's
don't
great.
have an
And I
issue.
get it, that you want, I thought you did want someone
Oh, I'm sorry.
skilled in this matter to
Well,
interpret these
yeah,
results.
and
It's pretty clear what they're gonna say, because
Okay.
we rely on the information and data that those experts supply us as to the cutoffs and the levels and what's the debilitating level. And the method's about 10,000 nanograms and you're 53,000 and change. Do you feel that you have something that needs to be seriously addressed, or do you feel this is all overblown, or what do you think?
Your Honor, honestly,
Yeah.
that day at court, that you kind of put me in my place.
Okay, but just in general, what do you
I took it seriously, and I
think?
went back to my therapist. I
Okay.
fully disclosed everything, the tracking devices, the audio, this is what I've
Okay,
done. Tell me
the
if I
tracking
need help.
device aside and all that, just
Right.
as far as what
But
you're ingesting
Okay.
on a regular basis,
No, I haven't.
What do you feel?
And I haven't since then, and I will not ever
did
again.
you feel you
I
had a
did it-
problem then?
I think I was self-medicating because I
Pretty
was in
some high
control
levels.
and I was being obsessed about the whole situation. I did it the wrong way. I was trying to control absolutely everything, and I can't control it.
Well, even before litigation, were you,
No.
no,
And Your Honor, I just want to note for the record, that the order for, the pickup order was January 11th, but there was in Talking Parents where on January 24th, Dad told Mom, you can take her to ballet, so he didn't have an issue at that time that Mom be alone with the child, and then I believe it was.
Your license is valid currently, isn't it?
I'm sorry?
Your driver's license,
Yes,
and
yeah.
your vehicle is registered and insured, timely,
Yes.
up to date, okay, all right.
And she does attend a recovery at a church, and she has asked that Aslan go with her because they do have it's called Celebrate Recoveries for the Adult, and I apologize, it's Celebrate Place? Kim, is that what it is for the children to
Celebration Place,
attend?
Yeah.
Okay.
Celebration Place.
I'm not gonna order, against someone's will, any sophisticated program now unless they acknowledge a problem, or they
Right.
wanna request it. But if she's saying that this is situational, has to do with the litigation, and that she's confident her baselines will dramatically decrease, if that's the approach you all wanna take, that's fine. What I would suggest is, I don't think Ms. McConnell, it's in her best interest for the court, even though we don't have a final order, for the court to set a custody trial now. I don't want her to conduct a custody trial at a time when we had these kind of test results and she's under supervised visits. But if we can send it out for supervised visits, if we get a report back that the visits are conducted appropriately and the supervision should be lifted, if we have that in conjunction with drug test results that are not concerning or would show a great improvement, then that would be the time where she's in a position to proceed with a custodial or a joint physical custodial request. Because I'm assuming you don't really want to, because I'm always concerned when these matters get set for a final trial, when someone's really behind the eight ball, and I think it's best if we try and normalize things a little first. So
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Okay.
I totally agree.
So we'll be out 3 months, and if the supervisions are lifted in 3 months, so temporarily the sole legal and sole physical continues with Dad. The drug levels are alarming. In fact, there was no amphetamine prescription was in fact declared or stated. We're going to have a status check in 90 days on the supervised visitation. And once things stabilize, a custodial trial can occur if we don't have a final custody agreement. What would stabilization consist of? Number one, the supervision is lifted via a report. And number two, that the drug levels are no longer a concern. There was a request to set aside the emergency orders. That's not granted at this time. Attorney fees request against mom is deferred. She can't afford to pay the other side's attorney fees, and she's going to need the money for the supervised visits. If the SSI beneficiary, the derivative benefit for children is an issue, for Aslan is an issue at this point, her derivative benefit. At least the meantime, as long as dad has temporary main custody, that benefit would go to him. The drug testing is random, and it's going to have to be at dad's expense, so he should only really request it. He has the right to request it once every 2 weeks if he wants. That would be 6 tests by the time we return, or just every month.
Okay, well, I understand the first test where he's saying she has to get tested. I'll pay for it. Fine. I understand him having to pay for that test. But no, now that we know she's a meth head, he should not have to keep paying for those tests. No, she should have to pay for those tests until she's clean. And if he wants another test after that, then he can pay for it.
Spaced 30 days apart, that would be one test a month. If you could email Mom and Miss McConnell, if you email them by 10 o'clock on a given day before 10 a.m. that you want her tested, she has to test by 5 p.m. If they don't get the request till after 10 a.m., then she has till noon the next morning to test. And as far as the activities, Dad, he needs to take Aslan to her activities. Now, if he's saying there's no time to take her to all the activities, then we have to come to an agreement on which ones absolutely should be
Right.
should be pursued at this juncture. We're going to defer setting the trial until we return at our status and we see how we're progressing. And I hope we're in a position, number one, where there's a report that enables the court to lift the supervision, which if the visits are conducted appropriately, that'll be the case. And number two, we'll get to all that. Number two, that we have adequate testing results. Now, at this point, I have a drug referral. I don't know if you wanted her sent to a drug test now. She's quite confident about it, is requesting it. Would you prefer, Ms. Crum, that you instead dispense with that and he uses his limited funds to request the random test, either spaced one a month for 3 months or 2 a month for 6 total, 2 weeks apart? He doesn't always have to utilize all those, but he can test from up to 3 to 6 times. Because I'm not sure how far we're going to get with the test today. She seems quite confident, which means he may be cynical and assume you got yourself well prepared and you've abstained,
Well-
and that you'll test okay. But he seems to want to be more interested in how would you test if it was unexpected, that type of thing.
Right.
So, but however you guys
That's
want to handle it, I don't,
No, we'd rather wait and just use the random judge.
Okay, so we'll
That's-
defer, we'll handle the random tests. And do you want to pursue Donna's House or Open Arms? Probably the best option is the Donna's House Central. Mom, do
Your
you
Honor?
want,
They thought for Aslan, since she's special needs, that maybe family first, if this court would allow that. It's in Henderson, which is close to both parties.
is that agreed?
It's,
That's fine, but I can't necessarily fill in the forms for that like we could at Donna's House or process them. If you guys can guide them through that,
Sure.
and we would agree on what, a visit a week, 2 visits a week, what?
we wanted 2 visits a week on Wednesdays, and then, is that Saturday or Sundays? Wednesdays 6 to 8, Sundays 11 to 1. And at mom's cost, it's like $30 an hour on Wednesdays.
As long as everyone understands, as long as it's with Families First, the court has no involvement. I can't fill in forms, I can't monitor, we can't follow through. So you guys all have to handle that and follow
Yeah.
through and make sure it all gets arranged.
I would
Ms.
just-
McConnell is what Ms. Crum's suggesting, and Mom would have to pay the even though mom's not paying support at this point, dad is responsible for the drug testing, and it can be taxed back to her, but at least he has to advance the drug test results. That serves as a good protective mechanism to make sure someone isn't constantly bedeviling someone with a drug test that the other side has to pay for. It assures that he's going to.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. That if he has to pay, then he can't. I mean, I guess he could make her go every day or whatever, but I guess that helps balance it out a little bit. Still not fair, though.
Use the request judiciously, or when he suspects that it might be strategically well-timed to do so, or that an incident occurred, or he believes she's under the influence, and if that, and hopefully that's never going to occur. So,
Your Honor, I'd
since
ask
the
you
tests are
to
going to be
address.
random, I don't think we'll, I don't think do we necessarily need to process a formal referral on random tests, or are they going to handle it?
I think,
It's all changed. Even during COVID, we stopped having stamping people's arm and sending them over.
No
So
more stamps, I believe they just.
everything's
before we
changed.
had to
You have
have,
to come in and get the slip unless
Oh.
you can send it at that.
Will ATI test without an order if they know it's related to?
You're not going to get any kind of agreement from me on statements like that, Bobby. I just can't. I can't go that things are so unfair to dads. I can't say it. Cammy, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
To a court
No.
case.
Not
Okay.
come
Just
down
put a
there,
date on it?
try.
no.
Why don't you just, I could just say an open-ended referral that says, random tests, up to once a month at, upon presentation of the party.
Okay.
Can I
That- yeah,
request
we could try that.
the father take her to family therapy and then
We'll get
he
to that.
also can-
So whatever we're working on first now, up to once a month, does he want 6 tests, a test every 2 weeks or once a month? Since he has to pay, once a month?
Falcon,
Once
does
a
he want
month.
one? Okay.
Yeah, once a month.
Yeah,
we'll
that
pay.
makes sense.
Just jot down your thoughts you want to address and just.
I'm not sure what good this referral does, because it's not for specific reporting at this time. I just wrote up to once a month with Ms. Hurd to present herself when opposing party requests a random test. I don't know
Thank
if
you,
that-
another
if that handles
Smith.
it or
Thank
not.
you.
Maybe we can use that, and then when Kimberly gets an email, she can take that with the email each time, and
Okay.
hopefully
that
that'll,
might
I mean,
work.
we can try it. Yeah.
Okay, Mom was saying something about counseling, which was,
She has family therapy every Friday and he's refused to take her since he's had
now,
it.
if he wants to blow off some of these activities, that's one thing, but if there's counseling, I think she probably would, it's kind of
He's not blowing
limited
it
in
off
the
your-
approach with a 5-year-old, but it can still be highly beneficial for some
He's
5-year-olds.
denied it for the last 2 weeks.
Right.
I have her presentations in there.
He's not blowing it up, but when
Pardon?
mom shows up, he says dad's a rapist.
I've never seen
It's
that.
it's
comment.
kind of
Okay,
hard.
could we understand that Dad is to take her to counseling, and he's freed from that obligation if Mom or anyone else shows up during the session and accuses him of being a rapist, then he doesn't have to tolerate that environment and will suspend the counseling. So, you wouldn't be there for this anyway, right? You have no
No,
reason to
it's
go.
for both.
Oh, I see.
Because she
Family.
used to have.
You know, I can't control, I really can't, if this is something that's beneficial, and it sounds beneficial, if these are the kind of issues or accusations we're having, I can't make counseling sessions contingent on the content, which is confidential anyway. If it turns out that she's using her time to falsely accuse him of violent sexual crimes, and she's fixated on that, and it turns out to be false, that's something that would presumably help your case and not hers. But I can't demand that neither side can say this or that. If anything, if you're looking to win a custody fight, to state it cynically, you should want people to say things that you think are irrational and false. Now, I mean, we could look at it that way. That being said, I certainly, from purely a best...
Yeah, this judge is awesome. I just can't believe how great this judge is.
interest standpoint, though,
Right, but Your
if
Honor,
you,
with the
if the
extra.
content, if, you get into this with the counselor, if somehow that's directly responsive to a topic you're discussing with a counselor, that's one thing. But you can't just like blurt out or bring up things like
I have
that
it,
if
Your
it's
Honor, and
not.
nothing's documented. It's lies. She has no proof to say anything, to show that I have said anything like this. This is
Oh,
all
okay,
complete lies.
if you haven't, then don't worry about it. She's
glad
saying
she
She's
said
that,
allowed to say it, and she
she's
keeps on
saying
it,
she
and it's
never
false.
accused him of that. If the
Okay,
counselor,
I'm glad
if
she
the
said that.
counselor thinks that
I would like
one or
someone
both,
to present the
I
proof.
think it's a self-correcting problem. If a counselor believes in this litigation case or custodial fight that one party is conducting themselves inappropriately and therefore the counseling is pointless because one party is particularly obstreperous, they're gonna tell us about it. So if this is happening, it'll be a self-correcting problem because we'll get a letter from the counselor.
Your Honor, the extracurricular activities, mom unilaterally enrolls the child and then, and then says, Dad, you have to get him there. She's
Well,
been doing
anything that's
that.
long-standing that existed before these two were in conflict and in litigation presumably
Okay.
should continue.
Okay,
Anything
thank
someone
you.
decided to enroll the child in without consent of the other side while we're in litigation is probably a really bad idea because it's guaranteed the other side's not gonna
This was done
cooperate.
before, and this is continuing. You just have
So
to-
make sure, if it's something that she's been in for months and months, predating this conflict, and he agreed with it, that's different. But if you're enrolling her in activities that he knows nothing about, and he's got the temporary custody, you can't necessarily require him to. Well, what specifically are we talking about? How many activities do you want him to take her to?
She has combo sports on Thursday from 5 to 6, and she has tap ballet on
Let's deal with that. Can he deal with that, the
Saturdays,
sports
and their
on
collegiate
Thursday,
sports
5
on
to 6?
26.
Is there any reason he can't
He
do
gets
that?
off of work at 5:00 PM.
Okay. How about the tap, the dance? How about that? On what day?
Saturday, but please, Your Honor, no Carrie, please, because
Carrie who?
his girlfriend, she's been very hostile and abusive.
You
They
want
both
to
are.
take her, now you're trying to mandate the cast of characters. I mean, are you gonna be there for it?
I would like to. I've been
Okay,
to everyone.
tap lessons.
Tap lessons, I think she missed one, only because she went to a birthday party
I can't
instead.
mandate, okay, he'll take her to tap. I can't mandate who's there. If someone's gonna threaten you at a public event that's for the benefit of a child, that's probably, if you can document that, that probably helps your,
That's why I have them
that
here.
probably helps your
It is
case.
documented.
If he
They're
has
right here.
people who have zero self-restraint and they're gonna attack you verbally or whatever at an event, you make sure you document it. If it's serious enough, you call the authorities. If it's not quite serious enough, you get a statement from the witnesses or from the coordinator of the event.
Your
And
Honor,
then
I have
probably
this
once you suck them into that though, she's gonna, her tenure as a tap as a 5-year-old tap student to that class is gonna end dramatically. Once we start, because by necessity, we have to tell them, okay, we don't want Carrie, we don't want this person, that, the first thing they're gonna say, they're gonna say, "Oh, we're not having anything to do with this." So, if you wanna mandate these people aren't there, that's fine, but I'm assuming, unless you operate in a different world than I do, I'm assuming these people are gonna want nothing to do with with anything where the adults of these young
Your Honor,
children, they're not
both
making
have
enough
been
money,
hostile
they're not
to
making
me
enough
in
money to deal
public,
with this
in front of
BS.
my own parents.
Pardon?
I have my parents there and they're hostile toward, the cops called
Okay.
and did a verbal
My
warning
point,
to
and
him, not to
what
me.
did I just say? If that happens, hold on,
I have
if that
called
happens,
cops,
okay.
and I have-
If you guys, if they see that kind of if third parties see that kind of behavior at something that's for the benefit of the children, they're not gonna do an analysis of who's what percentage culpable or at fault. They're just gonna say, we don't want anything to do with this student if this is the drama and trauma that we have to deal with. So, both parties agree to the tap lessons, but mom is saying she doesn't want Carrie, his significant other, there.
Just let her take her. I'd rather her go than not go.
Okay, she's saying if there's gonna be problems, Carrie can take her and mom won't go, as long as there's a commitment that the tap continues. She'll say, she'd love to be there, but she agrees not to be, as long as, so
May I
just,
please have pictures of that? That's it.
I just think there's no reason for them to communicate when they see each other at these extracurriculars, Judge. And it's silly that you have to order that, but they have talking parents, like they
they're
shouldn't
not,
be
if this
communicating.
is where we're at, we're making zero progress.
That's where we are, I'm
We're
telling you.
not, the best two words of advice for people sometimes, I don't mean to be disrespectful, is to grow up. These two are operating in a very distorted reality. If they think that anyone else in society cares about or is required to conduct themselves and make accommodations for this type of drama, they don't, and they won't. So if you guys want to agree to certain activities, that's great. But if you start saying, I don't want this person there, I don't want that person there, and I think that the owners of some studio are gonna have a big mess on their hand, then if I say, okay, she's not gonna get tap lessons, that has nothing to do with the court, that has to do with what you guys decided, because you can't put your differences aside. If he brings, you should be able to go and enjoy, or I know what it's like that children in these lessons and how rewarding it is for parents at that age. But that's where you need to put the focus. If you want to put the focus on, if she's there, she's going to attack me and yell at me, when actually, if anything, you should say, well, that's a great way to win my case if someone can't restrain themselves, does something stupid in public, and I
She's seen
document.
enough. I don't want her to see the abuse anymore, Your Honor, and I don't want to subject her to that.
Okay, so your solution is what? On the tap? You don't want to go? You want
I
Carrie?
would like to go, but it's more important for my daughter to go
Okay.
than to not go.
Okay,
So
Ms.
I
Chrome,
will-
does he agree, if mom doesn't go, does he agree to make sure she attends tap every week?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, fine, good. What other I don't see why they can't all go and conduct themselves like human beings. Is there
Right,
some
it
reason
just
why
hasn't
someone
been
has to
happening.
say something to someone? Is there any reason you or her would have to talk to
But
each
in-
other?
I was just gonna say, if they just remain away from each
Someone says
other.
something stupid, there is such a thing as saying, what, walking away from them? Walk
That's what
away.
I did Wednesday, they
Okay.
called the cops, and now they're presenting
If
me
you,
as
if they,
trying to take
if
the
they,
child.
call- if, let me promise you something. If they started disparaging you and verbally attacking you in public, and you calmly walked away, and they decided to call the cops, and the cops interviewed them and interviewed you, and support what you're saying, that's gonna help you in your case, if that's what that police report says. That police report is not going to say that, and you know it's not. You know that you will never have you don't have a police report, and one doesn't exist that says, they started yelling at me, because who's gonna call the cops if they're the ones doing all the antagonism? If you say absolutely nothing and walk away, they're gonna say, this isn't the strategic time to call the cops on her. We'll wait till we can get her goat and have her explode in front of people. They're not gonna call the cops on you when you calmly walk away. It defies logic. So there is
I
not
did,
going
my
to be,
parents were there.
doesn't matter, there's not gonna be a police report that says, these people who were screaming and harassing and threatening someone else call the police, and we've documented that they screamed and harassed and threatened. But if I'm wrong, go and pick up the report, that's great. Okay, what else, what other activities? These guys seem too committed to the conflict
I
and
think
blaming
this-
each other for the conflict rather than trying to solve it. So, but I
think it's just the combo
you're correct
sports.
that one step towards solving, and I think you do get it to a significant extent, if you and her aren't there at the same time, and then we don't have to worry about it. Your daughter gets the benefit of the lesson. What other activities?
And they could always alternate if that's a big issue. Like, I mean, I understand
What
right now
other
it's
you guys are ahead of me. What other activities?
Combo
If not,
sports.
we'll move on. We're here
the
to
combo
solve.
sports.
No, what other activities besides dance or tap? I'll ask once more, then I'll assume no one has an issue, and I'll move on.
Sports on Thursday, Miracle
Sports
League
on Thursday,
Saturday.
you heard what he said about it. I don't know how,
Miracle League on
I don't know how
Saturday.
valid it is, but that's what he said, that he can't. What did he say again? Why, was it work? He doesn't
He
get
can't
off
get,
work
it's from
in time?
5 to 6, he doesn't get off till 5.
Can
He gets
his-
off work
can-
at 5.
Can you mind if Carrie takes her to the? I mean,
Sure, I'd rather her go than not go.
she says if Dad can't, can Carrie take her?
If she's, like, I know she works too, I don't want to commit Carrie to something.
When does she?
The only
what's her
other one
work
that we'll
shift?
agree
While
to-
Dad's there, what's her work shift? Is Carrie available to take her on Thursdays? Dad knows the time of the sports on Thursdays. He knows when he works, he
Right.
knows when Carrie works, so let's ask him.
Carrie's job, it fluctuates, so I can't commit Carrie
All
right
right?
now,
Okay,
but
okay.
if they
What
can,
other
they will.
activities? If you guys just work.
They've
together,
agreed to
communicate
Miracle
it,
League,
you wouldn't-
and that's on the
What
weekends,
other
so she'll be.
what other activities?
Miracle League on Saturday.
I'm sorry?
Miracle League, it's gonna start on Saturdays, I've asked him, she's been in it the last 2 seasons, it'll
If
start
she's
March
been, okay, if
26th.
this is something she's been in for 2 years and it's Saturdays, it has to continue. This isn't
Yep,
just something
he already
Mama,
paid.
decided to
Your Honor,
enroll her in.
I wanna get along
Okay, that
with him.
continues. Okay, what other
He already
activities?
paid.
What other activities?
That's it.
Would be
What,
normal.
any other activities? No?
Please.
Okay.
Slow down.
Anything else? Does that cover?
Hi, Vicky. It's nice to see you again.
I
Okay.
just wanna work with him.
Understood, and maybe you need a mechanism to do that, and
It-
I do think the parties, that would benefit from, sometimes the most important, we send out so many people are involved in marital therapy, but the real people who need therapy more than anyone else is people who are no longer gonna be together, where either the marriage is kaput or the relationship is, and they have to parent together for 12 or 14 years. But the problem we wind up with is usually there's significant others on one or both sides that doesn't want the parents spending that time together, even if it's under the auspice of a counselor, et cetera. So it's
And,
probably a
Your
good
Honor-
idea if these two are eventually able to meet with a counselor or therapist, because it's gonna go a long way, because we can't have this infantile fighting all the time. Okay,
Can I-
what other
Can I make
issues? I'm not
Can I
gonna
make
fill,
more
I'm not gonna
things?
fill in its direct supervised report, I guess. It'll be a family.
Your Honor,
It's families first, which means we can't really fill in a report, right?
That's family first,
Oh, that's for families first?
Well-
Okay, what days did we agree on?
Wednesday and Sunday.
Well, I
on
don't,
Wednesdays and Sundays. Wednesdays 6 to 8, Sundays 11 to 1.
Is it available? Wednesdays,
Yes,
6,
he already called. It's available.
I'm sorry, you
Ken,
said
are you-
Wednesday, 6 to 8, 6 PM?
6 to 8, yes, and
Okay.
Sundays 11 to 1.
And when?
And I would ask
you
if
said
you'll bring
Sunday,
her in.
11 to 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I have a question. Is there any way that Ms. Hurd's parents can supervise the visitation? They're a great family. They have an 11-year-old child, which would be Aslan's cousin, and there's nothing that would prevent them from being supervising. And then I was also going to suggest maybe they could even, and I don't want to put them on the spot, but maybe they could take Aslan to the combo sports on the Thursdays if Dad can't do it.
Your Honor, there's a lot of blood between Kimberly and her own parents, and they have a child who has issues in their home, acting out issues.
They're right
And
here
so
right
we
now.
just want to
They're
stick
here
with
right now.
it.
Yeah,
I know.
Maybe they'll agree to supervise it.
I know, but my client, I'm telling you, I wish they would have briefed it because we would have briefed all the reasons why it just won't work. And so I would ask Ms.
Well,
McConnell and I can
what are the
speak.
what's the main reasons it wouldn't work?
Well, I
The
know
reason
they
I'm requi-
have,
The reason I'm required to ask is because supervision by family members, particularly like by grandparents, is by definition presumed to be 10,000 times better option than some sort of sterile, 1-hour artificial environment with strangers hovering around. It's very unnatural. So unless you can point to some direct antagonism or that they'd abdicate their responsibility, because their responsibility, and they're here, I could canvass them, would be to the court and this child. Their allegiance cannot be to their daughter and their daughter's case, because the first hint I get that someone's siding with their daughter or son or helping them fight on their custody case or expressing any antagonism to the other side, I put a stop to it. But if they're mature adults who understand that their responsibilities is to this court and to Aslan and not necessarily what mom wants or demands, then it could be a way to go. So,
well, I'll give you the brief version. It's my understanding they have custodial rights of their other daughter who is unfortunately a drug addict. They have one of her kids. That kid is vaping, is on marijuana, and they've been fine with it. And when they applied to be the adoptive parents for that child, Kimberly objected because of their parenting.
well, they don't.
That she has been
You're
off.
saying, they don't. You're not saying they smoke pot, though, right?
I'm saying that they supervise. They've
Okay.
known that their own now daughter, they adopted their granddaughter. That Kimberly had such a problem with them that she objected to the adoption of them for her niece.
All right,
On
well,
top of that, Kimberly's.
Let's assume that's true. How do I know they couldn't loosely supervise? They wouldn't even have to be in the same room, in the same premises of 1 or 2 hours supervision, and make it clear to Kimberly she can't drive off with Aslan and has to be within their focus at all times, or at least in the next room. I mean, you're telling me they may not be perfect people, no one is, but what, the call of the question isn't
Well-
how wonderful or wholesome they may be at all times.
No.
The question is, the call of the question is, how do we know they would abdicate their responsibility to this court and to their grandchild and get involved with mom's drama to the detriment of their daughter's own custodial request? They'd only be destroying her custody case if they wanted to behave like that.
Well, their behavior so far since he received an order, they've been showing up at the supervised visitation. They called the last supervisor and asked. They wouldn't facilitate what
Was that
Kimberly
okay
would.
with the supervisor, or did the supervisor
No.
put in writing that it was obstreperous or obnoxious or demanding? If they did, then.
It's on, I just watched the recording of it the
Oh.
other day, Your Honor. And even when they tried to facilitate, she knew that it was over at 1 o'clock. They wouldn't help get the child back. Kimberly's walking away with the child. They know that I assume they know that she's been on meth for a while. They've done nothing to help. It's 90 days. And I would just
All right.
ask this court to
If
stick with it.
If
So
she gets a positive report from Families First, the court will either lift supervision, or if supervision is necessary to continue, we have to look at better options, such as the grandparents supervising. For the time being, we'll wait till we get a report, since we don't have an agreement on this. Okay. So
I've
those are
just
the
two
order-
quick issues.
Those are the orders today. Our return date is May 9th at 11. And Ms. McConnell agrees with this court that we should not set a trial at this time for mom to litigate for custody at a time when she's on supervised visitation and we have these kind of drug levels. We want to wait until it's fair to both sides and everyone has a reasonable shot at a custody trial. So that's defined as if she gets a positive report from Families First, and if the toxicology is no longer a concern, then she would be in a decent position to litigate her case if the parties don't settle, and I sure hope they reach a settlement of some sort. Have the parties ever
Your Honor,
actually been to mediation?
Yes, and I
We've
agreed with
tried
everything.
privately
Denied
twice,
it. I agreed
yeah.
with exactly what we had. And he-
Would mediation do any good? It would help keep the cost down. Both parties are
I would agree to go
engaged
again.
with paying a lot of money for lawyers, excellent lawyers, but the point being, excellent lawyers cost a lot of money. And maybe.
Sure, we would agree especially if she has counsel with her, I think that would help
Mediation,
facilitate this.
I don't require Ms. McConnell to accompany her client.
Not
to
a
the
required-
mediation. If she wants to, that's
But-
fine. We could
Are
have
you
a
talking about
mediation
FNC?
referral with the same return court date for May 9th. Mom indicates this young woman says she'd be more than happy to discuss it, so like, opening a dialogue.
Your Honor, Your Honor, he's gonna file taxes for 2021
So
and
you
since she
agree,
didn't
do you
work.
guys agree to attempt mediation?
Yes,
Okay.
Can I just make it clear, are we talking about Family Mediation Center or private?
I was assuming the one here, but you can certainly
Okay.
suggest a private.
No, that's fine. I wanted,
Okay,
Ms.
Mom, you
Herndon.
kind of have to prepare for what's coming next, something about, it's going to be who claims Aslan for 2021, and he either intends to do so or already has, so I think you figured out that that's what's coming next. Go ahead.
yeah, Your Honor, she hasn't worked since the inception of this case. Obviously, it would benefit my client a lot more to have the ability to claim the minor child. I would just ask for a clear order relating to that so that he can move forward with filing his taxes.
I mean, you heard the previous case where someone earning enough to benefit, and you're,
He doesn't mind helping out, Your Honor.
Okay.
He
But
hasn't paid child support.
this
in a
doesn't
year.
mean that for 2022 or 2023, who knows? I don't know what the custodial arrangement will be. Maybe you'll be able to claim every year or every other year. But just for this time, for 2021, since apparently are you in fact filing taxes, or you didn't earn enough to?
No.
Okay, so we don't want to waste that exemption, so the earned income tax credit will go to dad. Okay.
The last thing, Your Honor, is on December 27th at 10:40, Mom filed an Exhibit 2. And then on January 19th at 3:47, she filed an Exhibit 2. I'm just asking the court to strike those exhibits. They're settlement offers made by Mom. And so she's filed them twice on
Yeah, but
December
if you want me-
27th.
If you want me to strike them, I have to review them and determine their settlement offers. Then if I determine their settlement offers, the damage, whatever taint or damage or prejudice that occurs by the court being privy to it would occur. Right now, I haven't read them, so,
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. Okay, thank you.
and I'm not going to
and
now that I know they include settlement offers.
Okay, thank
That
you.
said, we want the parties to be discussing settlement offers, but until you reach a final settlement, the court's not supposed to know what was
Your Honor, I
discussed.
tried, they don't respond
Well, you're gonna
back.
get another chance, because did we have the mediation referral?
We're
Yeah.
getting her a copy right now.
Okay.
Your
So
Honor,
we're loading these guys up with a few different things. Number one, which they don't have to worry about today or right now, the random drug test form, but we have the Families First form, and then the mediation form. That's the one you have to get set up with right away upon receipt.
Kimberly, are you going to be able to assist, the payment of the Family First? That was my only concern.
well, Your Honor, one thing that's never been addressed is child support. He
Well,
owes since
well,
last
yeah,
March.
unfortunately, this isn't the time to address it, because if I address it, the order would be against you, and so you shouldn't
So
be,
you-
we don't
can I
want to
just
have a
talk to you later
discussion
about it?
about you paying support, so we're not going to. In lieu of support, you can pay
That's fine,
Families
that's
First.
fine. Just whatever, yes. that's
But we'll deal
Okay.
with it eventually. Support will flow once the final,
But
did you
It was
provide her
supposed
the
to last
form?
year, and it's never has, because the attorneys can't agree, because she will
If they
not
don't agree, if you're owed any sort of support, such as back support, it's all gonna, she has, we'll get it all figured out eventually. We got
appreciate
much
that.
bigger fish to fry right now,
I
so
agree.
it'll all
Yeah.
get handled.
Thank
Just
you.
keep your records in order, so you know. All right, Ms. Crum, or are you able to prepare the order, or Ms. McConnell, do you prefer
Sure, I'll give it
or-
to Ms. McConnell.
Okay.
Okay.
Ms.
All right,
McConnell,
thank
you've
you,
been
Judge.
drafted for that purpose, it seems, okay. All right, you don't mind preparing?
Oh. No, I said I would. I'll get it
Oh,
to
I
Ms.
see.
McConnell.
Okay,
That's
I'm
fine.
sorry. Okay. Ms. Crum, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah. All right, thank you.
thanks so much. Where,
Thank you.
is this discovery thing for March 2nd still on calendar?
No, we're getting the order to you. They made an order that she has to comply.
So we can
So-
vacate the March 2nd hearing that the commissioner set?
I would like
Yeah,
to take
I already
that,
did.
because I feel like it's excessive, the questions, and a lot of them aren't
She,
relevant.
well, I will leave all that to your attorney. If your attorney believes there's no point in having that hearing and you're concerned about excessive questions that we handled in some other forum, I'll let your attorney decide what's the most expeditious, economic way of handling it. Ms. McConnell, do you wish that hearing to remain on calendar, or do you want to resolve these discovery disputes between you and Ms. Crone?
My understanding is Commissioner Young already took it off
Oh.
calendar and
It's
issued.
still on.
It's
Because
still-
my client
it's still
didn't
showing
know.
up. It's still on, I think. So,
My client didn't know, and she didn't file an opposition because she wasn't aware of what was going on, because
Okay.
she's working on this portion of it.
so you're finalizing the information?
I think Ms.
So we can vacate it then, right?
I'm discovering.
Yes, I thought it already was.
Can we,
They have to make sure they got the R&R before they vacate it usually.
he won't vacate.
Oh, that's the status.
Yeah.
Can
Oh,
we get
okay.
That's the
the
status.
report and recommendations?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
appreciate it. Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right, thank you, Your Honor.
Contact your attorney, she'll let.
Okay, Your Honor, we're on the record.
Damn, it's over. That stinks. It's over. That was so good. I got completely sucked into it. This is such a good case. Whew, okay. 24 hours. Actually, 22 hours. We'll press play again. And we'll go right back into it. I can't wait to get to the portion where there's no lawyer for her anymore. 'Cause it's already so good with two lawyers. That one lawyer, his lawyer, cannot talk. Nobody will let her talk. In every hearing we've been to, she keeps trying to talk, and nobody will let her talk. Oh man, I'm just so upset that it's over. Okay, it's fine. We'll get to see it again tomorrow. We just have to wait till tomorrow. I'm gonna get OJ set up, so I'm gonna start that stream in about 4 minutes because the outro in this is like 3 minutes long. Ah, it's all right. We're gonna go right into OJ. Guys, have a great day. If you don't pop into OJ, I will see you again real soon. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Got this life that goes digital dreams. Through the screen, her blue eyes gleam. Wicked humor, sharp as a knife. Her stream sparks electric light. Late night when the world sleeps, she's the friend that always keeps. Giggles roll like thunder loud. She stands out in any crowd. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted charm. In a way, there's no alarm. Street of tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Her eyes mirror sky so blue. In her jokes there's a truth so true. With each stream she brings the light, turns dark days into bright. Kathy's laugh cuts through the gloom. Eyes blue like a summer's bloom. Her humor dark and twisted charm. In a way, there's no alarm. Streaming tales late into the night. Her laughter feels just right. Even when my world turns gray, with a giggle she lights the way. Kathy's laugh